All right, Hazemeg here. So this is it. This is so I finished putting the KLX 140 or the KLX 170 together last night, and that was the last video. And we're gonna go and fire it up for the first time today. Hopefully it'll be okay. So right here I got the KLX 140 owner's manual, and so we're gonna go over the break-in. Um, we'll go over through the break-in procedure. Since we got new piston, new bore, we got to break it in. So, and we'll go over what it says in the book. It's pretty simple stuff. All right, so let's check it out. Okay, so in the KLX 140 manual on page 28, under general information, and we'll just read it. The first 1 hour that the motorcycle is ridden is designed as the break-in period. If the motorcycle is not used carefully during this period, you may end up with a broken down instead of broken in motorcycle after long use. Do not start moving or race the engine immediately after starting it, even if the engine is already warm. Run the engine for 2 or 3 minutes at idle speed to give the oil a chance to work up into all the engine parts. Avoid quick acceleration or starting, and drive prudently for the first hour operation. Let the motorcycle cool completely. The motorcycle is ready for regular operation after this procedure is carried out. All right. So what I had planned was to go take it to the on Saturday is a practice day, and I was just gonna skip the practice day, and I was just gonna ride it around Sonoma Raceway. So I think what we're gonna do today, instead of doing the 1 hour, we're gonna fire it up, let it warm up. We'll let the bike run for like 10 minutes. And then we'll take it for a ride around the block, really gingerly. It says no sudden acceleration, no racing the engine, no getting wide open on it. But after 1 hour, it should be good. So my plan is to do that for like 2 days, because we got today and tomorrow before we got to take it to the racetrack. So so today we're gonna warm it up, and then we're gonna ride it, and then we're gonna and then take it back, let it idle a little bit, and then cut the engine off, and then let it cool down. And I think what that does is it heat cycles the engine. It lets the engine's parts expand and contract and stuff. And then we'll do that same thing maybe later today or tomorrow. I'll just keep on doing it, And then on Saturday, I'm gonna go on a long ride, because it's a dirt bike. I can't really ride this thing on the street. If I could ride it on the street for an hour, I would totally do it. I would just ride around the neighborhood all the time, but I don't want to get busted by the cops, It's not a street legal bike. So so the plan is to, when I go to Sonoma Raceway, I can actually ride it around there, because it's private property, and as long as I got all my gear on and stuff, they'll let you ride it around. It's like a pit bike, That's what I'm going to use it for the first day. And so we're just gonna do the warm-up procedure that day, and then we're gonna warm it up for like 5 minutes or something, and then we're gonna take it for a ride for an hour around, real easy, and then we can start getting on it, and then the race will be then we'll race it the next day. So yeah, so just take it real easy first, and then we can go race it. So, but it's just an hour of riding, hour of just easy riding, no getting on it hard, that type of thing. So, all right, let's go fire this bad boy up. Okay, so you're going to witness the first time we fire up the KLX 140, or KLX 170 in this case. I call it the Miku bike, is what I call it, because I'm using number 39. That's the Miku numbers. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to crank the engine a bunch of times. Hopefully the battery's still in good shape. Yeah, we're going to crank the engine a bunch of times, maybe like 10 cranks or something, or 15 cranks. I'm not going to turn the fuel on. So hopefully it doesn't start. I'm not going to pull the plug or anything, but we're just going to crank it 10 times to get the oil flowing through the engine, and then we'll fire it up. All right. Or it may just fire it up. I don't know. I don't think there shouldn't be fuel in the car. All right, so I didn't turn the fuel on. We're gonna crank it like 10 times. So run. Okay. sounds good. Sounds like it's supposed to sound. It's not making any strange noises. Now we're gonna go, maybe we'll run it a little bit more. Okay. Now I'm gonna give it fuel. Give it a few seconds to get the fuel into the carb. And here we go. Valves are a little tappety. Oh, there we go. The valve's quieted up, so you can tell the oil is flowing through the head now. There it is. It's running. Woohoo! Okay, so I'm just gonna let it run like that for like 10 minutes. So I'm gonna go put my timer on. You see, it's not warmed up yet, so it's struggling staying running right now. I can tell. Oops, here goes it. Seems to be running fine, but it doesn't seem to want to stay running. Adjust the idle. We could be idling different now. That's weird. It was running fine before. When we first started up, now it doesn't want to stay running. I'm gonna give it a little more idle. Adjusted the idle screw a little bit, give it a little more, so I don't have to rev it. Hopefully it'll stay running. Yeah, I don't want to stay running. But it's running. I don't see a whole lot of smoke coming out of it either. So. The question is, can we, how will it be when it warms up? So. All right, so in like 10 minutes, I'm gonna go put my gear, I'm gonna put my helmet on, and we're gonna go for a spin. All right. Alright, here's Meg here. We're going to go take the KLX170, the Miku bike, for its first spin around the block. So right now what we're doing is we're breaking the engine in. That entails riding it for an hour, but I can't really ride it for an hour around here, man. This is not a street legal bike, so we'll do that later. But we'll just take it for a ride around the neighborhood real quick, a couple times, and we let it cool down is what happens. So I'm gonna go get it off the stand here. I had enough time to go lube the chain while it's been idling. All right, it's been free of the stand. Let's take it out for a ride. So obviously we're not going to test the power or anything right now. We're just going to go ride it. All right, here we go.
So it's idling at about 1500 RPM. I did raise the idle a little bit. I think we want to keep it around that. I'm not really sure what the RPM should be, but so we'll just take it real easy. The engine does sound a little tappety. It could be because the valves are, it was pretty loud when I first started it up, and then it got quieter. And that's the oil going through all the passageways and lubing up the camshaft and everything. It could be harder to start because the whatchamacallit is, the camshaft is different too. That may affect it. So yeah, we'll just kind of ride around in the cul-de-sacs. I don't think it'll bother anybody because we're not making a lot of noise. It feels good. So we just kind of have to just ride it around like this for a while. Just don't apply any sudden loads to it. Alright, we're gonna go ride it around the block now. We'll ride it around the block and then we'll come back and then I'll take a look if there's any leaks or anything. The engine does sound kind of noisy, man. It sounds a little noisier than it was before, but we did adjust the valves, you know. So basically, just we gotta ride it like this for an hour and let it cool down, and then it's done breaking in. So I hope it does get a little quieter. It sounds like it's a little more tappety than it was before, but I think that's okay. Maybe I'm just thinking. Maybe I'm just being too overly cautious. We did adjust the valves, and you know I adjusted them as good as I could, man. I adjusted them on the kind of looser side, so that could be it, you know. And we gotta let it compression brake. That's our engine brake. There's not a whole lot of compression braking now. Still hella loud. As you notice, it does sound a little more throaty though. That extra 20cc, you know, made it a little bassy. That's good, because I just complained the exhaust is too loud on this bike. I have to wear earplugs when I use it at the racetrack, you know. Nothing too crazy, we're just going for a cruise around the neighborhood. I think we're in like 3rd or 4th gear. Maybe go a little bit faster. I have no idea how fast we're going. We must be going around 20-something miles an hour. The engine sounds great. Just kind of right here in the back of the neighborhood, so you know, keep off the main street. I got my stopwatch on too. Who knows? Maybe we can just keep on doing this for an hour, man. Just ride around the neighborhood for an hour. Seems to have some decent torque. I don't know what gear I'm in, but it's also before people get home from work too. It's a good time to go do this because this bike is noisy, so people would start complaining. Stay here in the back streets. I heard that like some places use dynos to break in engines. They'll leave it on the dyno for like an hour or something. I'd imagine that's probably not good for the engine unless you got a fan on it, you know. We've been riding for about almost 10 minutes already. I got all my gear on to make it look like that I'm riding a legit motorcycle. No license plate on this one, man. Trying to vary the speed of the engine a little bit. You don't want to just break it in at one speed. I heard when you break in an engine, you want to do a lot of compression braking. Yeah, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the rings seated, you know. Break in the rings. And the new camshaft and all that stuff, so. That could be why it's kind of noisy, because the camshaft's not broken in yet. What I could do is ride it around my backyard for an hour. I didn't think about that. I have I have enough room where I could just ride it in a circle, sort of, for like a half hour or something. Yeah, we could do that. We've almost got a half hour. Actually, breaking it in isn't that as hard as I thought, you know, if you're just riding around. Basically, just ride around all the streets, you know. Hopefully, we don't catch any police. So, yeah, man, I was I was testing the bike out. Just around the neighborhood. It's cool, dog. Oh yeah, you know what? We did forget. Let's go back. We did forget to stop and take a look for oil leaks and stuff. So let's go do that real quick. It seems to be running fine. No problems at all. Alright, let's see. Let's try to get a little more speed. It seems pretty fast. I'm only giving you any throttle when it's going. I've heard some things like, you know, you should ride it how you intend to ride it, straight from break-in, you know, but no, we're gonna break it in nice and easy, you know. Like they said, you want your engine to last a long time, you know. I don't foresee rebuilding this thing anytime soon, so. Okay, so we're gonna go and we're gonna go check for leaks real quick. Seems like it's running good. See if it'll idle. Let it idle for a little bit. Looks like it's wanting to die. Also, I'm not too sure about the compression ratio on this bike. It looks like it's fine. There doesn't look like there's any kind of leaking anywhere. Oh, it just died. Seems like the starter's having a hard time getting the bike started. Maybe we might want to increase the idle more. So what could be is it's running leaner, so it's wanting to, you know. So we weren't supposed to shut it off. We're supposed to be riding it for like a bit. So I had heard that some people they install a heavy duty starter on this because it's harder to start with the higher compression. Now I don't know what kind of compression is on this bike, so yeah. I don't know what kind of compression's on this bike. I have a feeling that it's higher than stock, but we'll find that out when we hit it up with the compression gauge. But what I could do is I could just send an email to the manufacturer, I mean this place that I bought the parts for this bike, and I could ask them what kind of piston they gave me. Okay, yeah, bike looks fine. It runs fine. This is the thing, after it's warmed up, it's still not wanting to idle. Let's just go here in the shade. Let's go let it idle first. Yeah, the gears are so short on this bike. Yeah, see, so it's about 1500 RPM right now. Ish, 15, almost 16. That seems okay. We did raise it a little bit. It doesn't want to idle as much. I don't know if that's an effect of you know, I don't know if that's an effect of the cam, you know. Boy, would I love to just open this up right now, man, and just see what it can do with it. Can't. But we've almost got half an hour, so I'm gonna say maybe we ride it for a half hour today, and then maybe ride it for a half hour tomorrow, and then I think I would call it breaking in, but we'll still break it in at Sonoma.